Folks, welcome to Movie News Monday, where every single Monday live on Twitch, we talk about the crazy world of entertainment. We're talking movies, television, MCU, DCU, all the U's, you get it. So first of all, make sure if you're watching on YouTube, hey, hit that subscribe button so that you can see all the other content, because we talk about more than just Movie News Monday on the stream, which you can check us out live on Mondays over on Twitch. But we talk about so much more. Just now, we got done talking about the Warner Brothers Netflix deal. Crazy stuff. So that's not going to be in the news today. There's going to be a separate video talking about that. But today we have so much to talk about. We took some time off for the Thanksgiving holiday, so we got to catch up on everything that's been going on. And first off, the first bit of news. Hey, some cool news. Do you miss Blockbuster? Do you miss what Netflix used to be? Well, folks, everyone turned to Letterboxed, everyone's favorite movie social media app. Letterboxed is launching the Letterboxed Video Store. They made the announcement earlier last month that they're launching the Letterboxed Video Store, in which you will be able to rent movies from Letterboxd, which is crazy. It was so cool. It's so cool. And they have officially announced their first round of exclusive films. So what this is, it is going to be a service on Letterboxd, I believe free on Letterboxd for users, but you will be able to rent movies for a limited time. And the first wave of movies that they are doing are called the Unreleased Gems, which are must-see films that are not distributed anywhere else right now. The movies that are going to be coming out will be available starting December 10th. So that is 2 days from now. 2 days from now, or if you're watching this on YouTube, that'll be tomorrow. You'll be able to rent these movies between now and January 9th. The movies are It Ends, a movie that was Best of 2025 South by Southwest. Soar, A Wife from the Future, an Indonesian film festival Academy Awards. Oh my gosh, let me get my words right. Indonesia's selection for the Best International Film at the Academy Awards, and it got 8 nominations at the Indonesian Film Festival. Kennedy, the Hindi language crime thriller that was a selection of the 2023 Cannes Film Festival, and The Mysterious Gaze of the Flamingo, upcoming submission for the Academy Awards from Chile. And you can find a little bit more info about these movies here. So this is super cool. One, super cool that Letterboxd, again, a very communal app for the world of film and television, or just film, really. There's no television on there yet. If you've never been on Letterboxd, it is a great place. I'm on Letterboxd. Hey, give me a follow there. But it is essentially, if you're a reader, it's like Goodreads, but for movies. And if you don't know what either of those things are, essentially it's just a social media platform where you can log the movies that you're watching, you can review them, you can share thoughts about them, you can make lists. It's honestly a really fun app for a movie lover. If you have a movie lover in your life and you don't know what to get them for the holidays, get them a Letterboxd Pro membership for a year. But in either case, this is really cool, and the thing that I think is so exciting about this initially is exactly what they chose to be their first initial films, which are unreleased movies. There are some incredible films that are made, and sometimes they do amazingly in the in the festival circuit. Sometimes they get really high praise and well reviewed, but they just disappear because distribution is really hard to lock down. And so it's incredible that Letterboxd, which has a massive platform, is now also an opportunity for some movies that maybe normally wouldn't get seen to have the ability to be seen. So this is really cool. I'm definitely going to check some of these out. And, you know, it's not lost on me that a lot of these films are also international films. We talked about this earlier with the Golden Globe, but the Golden Globe nominations, some of the best films that came out this year are international films. And the only reason I was able to see a lot of them is because I had the privilege of attending a really big film festival. Not everyone has the opportunity to do that. So for an app to have its own video store, which makes some of these international films more accessible. Hey, that's really neat. So if you're not on Letterboxd, get on Letterboxd and check it out, and go to the video store, man. It's like the old days of browsing Blockbuster, where you just look at a title and you go, yeah, that looks pretty good. And my phone is buzzing because I'm getting notifications from Letterboxd saying that people are following me. So hey, go check me out on Letterboxd. Scarlett Johansson has joined the cast of the Batman Part 2, or she will be joining the cast of the Batman Part 2. We are jumping from one side of the aisle to the other. I guess when you are dead in the Marvel Universe and you make it pretty clear that you're going to stay dead, it gives you an opportunity to jump over to the DC Universe. Or technically, it's not the DC Universe, it's the Reeves-verse, because the Batman and the Penguin are not canon to Superman and the DCU that James Gunn is putting together. I'm sorry, I had to do it. Someone was going to say it if I didn't say it. And I have to be clear because my mom is going to be confused if I'm not. So Scarlett Johansson is looking to join the Batman Part 2. Interesting things that came out with this announcement. So we don't know what role she's going to be playing, but she is going to be very possibly a co-lead here, starring against Robert Pattinson's Batman. Other thing that came out with this announcement is confirmation that Zoe Kravitz's Catwoman will not return in the Batman Part 2. This was kind of expected and hinted at in the past. No spoilers for the Penguin, but I do remember when the last episode of the Penguin came out, Matt Reeves talked about how, oh yeah, and it's a shame it's going to be a little while before we see where Selena Kyle's story goes from here. So more than likely, everything is going to culminate. Everything from the first Batman and the Penguin will likely culminate in a Part 3 in 17 years when that movie finally comes out. But in either case, hey, Scarlett Johansson, you're jumping over to the DC Universe. And Scarlett, I am so sorry. You are being cursed with the being famously recognized as a redhead. Just like Sadie Sink is joining the MCU in Spider-Man, so everyone's assuming she's playing a redhead MJ. You are now going to be fan cast as Poison Ivy, and I'm sorry, that's just what's going to happen. I don't think that's who she's playing, but that's what people are going to say. I'm certain. Who do you think Scarlett Johansson's going to play? For me, I think she's probably going to be someone in the Court of Owls, because I am like 90% certain that Batman Part 2 is going to cover the Court of Owls. Vicky Vale is a good choice. That'd be fun. Personally, I'm really tired of the reporter superhero dynamic in movies. And we just kind of got back to that with Superman. So I don't know that they're going to be doing that again, but maybe Vicky Vale. I heard somewhere that she might be playing like an Arkham, like the head of Arkham Asylum, which would be cool. But my guess is she's going to be someone on the Court of Owls. And that'd be pretty neat. But hey, that's not all for Scarlett Johansson. ScarJo is also going to star in a new Exorcist movie for Blumhouse. ScarJo is busy at work taking over Hollywood after taking on the Marvel Universe and taking on the Jurassic Park world. She is now jumping into The Exorcist as well as the Batman. So Johansson will star in Mike Flanigan's fresh, bold take on The Exorcist. Yes, Mike Flanigan of Haunting of Hill House and of The Life of Chuck and all these other very incredible works of horror slash thriller, fantasies, etc. are going to be partnering up on an Exorcist movie. Mike Flanigan wrote the script and he is directing and producing. This movie is not a remake or a sequel, but it is in the Exorcist universe. So we don't fully know what that is. The Exorcist, of course, is a brand that has been tried to be spun off again and again. Most recently is 2023. They tried to do Exorcist Believer. There's been many sequels to the Exorcist franchise, but the original is still an absolute classic. Flanigan had to say, one of the reasons I became a filmmaker is The Exorcist, and it's an honor to have a chance to try something fresh, bold, and terrifying within its universe. So I'll be excited to see Scarlet Johansson in a horror movie. We've been talking about it for almost a year at this point on stream, that horror is truly in a new renaissance, and to see more large names attach themselves to movies in that genre bodes really promising for kind of the lifeblood that it has. And you know, Scarlett Johansson, she's a huge box office draw. Obviously, she's a well-recognized name. She's also an Oscar nominee, so like she carries some weight in these movies, and I'll be very curious to see where it goes from here. And again, Mike Flanigan is a voice in this genre that I think is going to be very well trusted. We don't just have The Exorcist back. Men in Black are coming back. The Bad Boys for Life scribe, Chris Bremner, is going to be working on a new Men in Black film. Sources tell Deadline that nobody is attached yet, but Chris Bremner is working on a script. The original movie starred Will Smith, and Will Smith is expected to return as Agent J. It's not clear to what capacity, but he will likely be in the movie. It was referenced that it could be sort of a Creed-style passing of the torch, which honestly would be a pretty clever way to do it. Basically do a bit of a role reversal of Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones' character. That being said, we do have a Men in Black film in the works. We had a Men in Black reboot attempt with Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson a few years back, and that movie just did not do well in the box office at all. Frankly, I think it was just really bad marketing, all things considered. 2019, wow. It feels both so close and so long ago that tried. Men in Black is a pretty decent property, all things considered. The first two movies hold a huge cultural love, and they were pretty successful in the box office. Men in Black 3 came a little bit later, and though it didn't strike the same way that the originals did, it did well for the franchise. They still have a ride at Universal, and it's still fairly popular over there. And frankly, I'm surprised it's taken them this long to give it another shot. That being said, I am mostly just heartbroken over the fact that we never got our Men in Black 21 Jump Street crossover movie that apparently really did exist. There was really a pitch, there was really a story, there was a universe where we could have had that movie. My heart breaks every day I remember it. So, moment of silence for what could have been. Now, the Men in Black are not the only 90s heroes that are coming back to this big screen. The Power Rangers reboot is happening for Disney+. This was broken by MovieWeb at the premiere event for Percy Jackson and the Olympians. Their season 2 is coming up soon. The showrunners, Jonathan Steinberg and Dan Schatz, had been hinted at possibly working on a Power Rangers reboot on Disney+, and MovieWeb kind of caught them on the red carpet to confirm. Schatz said, "You're asking the right questions." Excuse me. They were asked if the rumor was true. You're asking the right questions that I can't answer. Let's just say we very much hope to bring that story to life. That's all I can say at this point. The other showrunner, not as shy, said, "The rumor is true. I cannot tell you, but I'm very, very excited for that story." So we are hopefully going to get another crack at the Power Rangers. And look, let me just say, purely biased, purely coming just from my own preferences, I'm excited about this. I loved the Power Rangers growing up. I think just conceptually, it's really cool. I think it promotes teamwork. It promotes kung fu and animals and robots. And it's just cool. Come on, man. It's cool. Let kids have Power Rangers. Sure, I know that show has been on for a while, but I really like the new Power Rangers movie. And I say new, it came out, 2017? When did the Power Rangers movie come out? that in this article? I don't think it's in this article. I liked that Power Rangers movie, man. I liked it, and I was hoping that it was really going to be a launching point and do a whole series, and it was really fun and really interesting, and it was nostalgic but also refreshing, and yeah, kids deserve Power Rangers to look up to. I want more shows that encourage kids to play pretend and pretend to be superheroes and go outside and have fun, and maybe I just want to relive my own childhood, and I need to stop thinking about the fact that my childhood was the best version of a childhood that someone could have. And sure, I love the Power Rangers because I like to escape into a world where evil and good was so clearly black and white, and the lines were very easy to draw, and you could tell, and you could have these fantastical stories where monsters and megazords were buildings tall, and they knocked down buildings and destroyed entire city blocks, and you didn't have to think about the consequences because we knew this was just a silly world of entertainment where buildings getting knocked down can be a backdrop to some really cool action happening, and not something that you have to think about the consequences. And you don't have to go watch a Superman or a Batman movie and think about, oh my god, this was their 9/11 times a million and also an alien invasion. And you didn't have to think about the implications of how the psyche of a very traumatized Batman would really have him think about the implications and the consequences of having a literal god like Superman destroy buildings. And you didn't have to think about, well, how does that tie into the geopolitical world, and how would the Power Rangers fit into a universe where there are laws and borders, and who do they represent? And you didn't have to think about that. You could just be a kid and go, power up! I'm the Red Ranger! No, I'm the Red Ranger! No, I'm the Blue Ranger! And then you have the friend who's a girl, and you're like, you're the Pink Ranger? And they're like, yeah, I guess. And let's not talk about the Black Ranger, because let's not. Let's face it, we were all too young, and it was a different time, and they, oh, fucking, they did it with a Yellow Ranger, too. Maybe we don't need Power Rangers back. Maybe we don't need Power Rangers back. Well, let's keep that 90s nostalgia train going. Men in Black, Power Rangers, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Skydance Paramount confirms that Neil H. Moritz, the producer behind the very successful Sonic the Hedgehog franchise, will now be taking on the Heroes in a Half Shell, the Ninja Turtles. Yes, this is good news if you are fans of getting the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fast-tracked. However, this is not the happiest of news. Longtime viewers will remember we've talked about a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles The Last Ronin story that was being developed as a live-action rated R movie, and unfortunately, with the news of this movie, new franchise going into production, we are unfortunately not going to be getting the Last Ronin movie. That project has been put on an indefinite hold. We now know a little bit more details that the Nobody filmmaker Ilya Naishuller was in talks to direct, but unfortunately that has been put on the back burner for now, as they are trying to prioritize TMNT as a property that is successful with younger audiences. The studio, as we talked about it, is trying to get very involved in appealing to a specific category of audience. There's been a lot of think pieces and studies that have come out recently about the fact that the young male viewer is a very important target to a lot of box office analysts and studios, and they feel as though TMNT is a good franchise to strike while the iron is hot and actually engage those viewers again, because who doesn't like turtles and ninjas? That being said, Mutant Mayhem and Tale of the Teenage Mutant Turtles, those animated series, are not moving forward, and the executives have been very clear that they don't feel very confident about the current direction that the TMNT franchise was going in television and in streaming. So we're going to be getting a refresh. Paramount wants to, as quote in this article, Sonic-fy the TMNT franchise. And if you want Sonic, you get the guy that did Sonic. So Moritz and his team are going to be taking the charge here. And you know what? This doesn't upset me fully. I am sad that we won't get a Last Ronin story. We've talked about in the past how I think that a very good way to get nostalgia working in your favor is to have your content grow with its audience. I don't know how many young kids today are excited about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but I do know how many people in my age range are excited about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That being said, too, I actually really like the Sonic franchise. I know it's not for me, but I have fun with those movies. I've seen all 3 movies. I haven't watched the Knuckles show because, like, I'm not that into it. But I like the movies. I have fun with it. I'm excited to see Sonic 4. So, hey, more power to you, Neil. Keep it up. It's not just good news in the world of 90s nostalgia, it is also good news to what this stream has before identified as the next superhero of Hollywood, the video game franchise. And Justin Lin has been set to direct a Helldivers movie with Sony Pictures and PlayStation Studios. So Helldivers, specifically Helldivers 2, was a massive, massive blow-up success over the past couple of years. And though it is a game that really strikes to Starship Troopers, and there's been talks of a Starship Troopers movie coming, it's been in development, coming and going over years and years and years at this point. Sony has decided to pull the trigger on Helldivers and making an adaptation there. Justin Lin, who has worked on the Fast and Furious franchise, is coming on board to direct the project. And very interestingly, it was written by Gary Duberman, who worked on It and the Annabelle movies, so not sure what that means as far as the direction for the game, or for the film based on the game. It could be more horror thriller-esque, which I guess you could make that work for, like, you know, sort of a war movie. I find it interesting to see how they're going to tackle this, given the scale of the world and the story in Helldivers. It maybe would make sense to really focus that in and tell a smaller scale story in this big world. I did think it's funny. They mentioned here that Lin is not a gamer and leaned into that as a strength when pitching his take on the material. He aims to find the humanity in the characters and weave timely themes into the story while building out a world and mythology. So he said, I'm not a gamer and I don't know the game, and somehow that got him the job. I don't know. PlayStation Studios is heavily involved in this, so I am very curious to see what it is that they're going to do here. This did also was news to me, but apparently wasn't brand new news. Justin Lin is also working and still attached to direct a One Punch Man adaptation, which is very funny to me. I did not know they were making a One Punch Man movie, but that will be fun to see. So hey, if you're a fan of Helldivers, something is coming to the movie theater. Will it be close to what you expect, or the type of movie that you would hope for? I don't know. I can't say for sure. But Helldivers are not the only video game heading to your screens. We also got an update from Far Cry. Far Cry game tweeted out, so, remember when we said Far Cry stories always escalate? Yeah, FX took that personally. A brand new Far Cry anthology series is coming to Hulu with a whole new setting, new cast, and the exact level of chaos your therapist told you to avoid. Good luck out there. Unfortunately on brand, I know, and I've played the Far Cry games too, so it makes sense. But hey, we do have a Far Cry FX Hulu series. This makes sense. This makes sense to me. So really curious to see how this will all play out, but over the next couple years, expect to see some more updates here. Hulu and FX seem like a good fit, and although I roll my eyes at the way that this announcement was written, I do have some fond memories of the craziness of the Far Cry series back in the day. I haven't played the games for years. I still think that Far Cry 3 is like a great classic game. Let's talk about it. Rush Hour sequel from Brett Ratner is being distributed by Paramount. So, if you haven't heard, Paramount, now known as Skydance Paramount, is owned by the Ellisons. The Ellisons, who are BFFs, buddies with a certain DJT. DJT, someone who seems to be invested in the idea of bringing the bro-ness, bringing the classic action comedy back to Hollywood. So we got the surprise announcement around Thanksgiving that a Rush Hour 4 is in development and that Brett Ratner is coming back to direct the sequel. This is complicated for a lot of reasons. First, I didn't know that people were asking for another Rush Hour, and it seems that people weren't. Apparently, a number of studios passed on releasing the new Rush Hour, including Warner Brothers' New Line, the architect behind the Jackie Chan Chris Tucker franchise that blasted Ratner's directing career out of a cannon with an $850 million grossing trilogy. So even New Line Cinema, who originally produced the Rush Hour franchise, had no interest in collaborating on a Part 4. That being said, Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan are expected to return to Part 4 of the Rush Hour franchise. Well, how did this all come to be? It was reported back in August that Rush Hour 4, with Ratner attached as a director and a producer, was being shopped around, but understandably, not a lot of people were excited to work with Brett Ratner. That being said, folks who are here live and maybe YouTube viewers who will watch the other video we're putting out about Paramount, David Ellison and the new leadership at Skydance Paramount is very invested in giving canceled people another shot. And so it's not surprising to hear that Brett Ratner being attached was not a deterror for this movie. But how really did we get here? Well, it turns out that Donald Trump is actually very responsible for Rush Hour coming back. So Donald Trump actually recently collaborated with Brett Ratner. They worked on a $40 million documentary about Melania Trump, which was a soft-focused project on the life of the fairly private First Lady. So Brett Ratner has been very directly involved with the Trump family. And now, of course, Larry Ellison, David Ellison being involved with Paramount. They're also buddies with Donald Trump. And Trump seems to want to revive comedies and action movies of the late 80s and 90s. A person directly familiar with the conversations told this outlet here that the President of the United States has personally pressed the Paramount owners to revive another franchise from Ratner, Rush Hour. Crazy. We have Saudi Arabia and Qatar wanting to help Paramount buy Warner Brothers, and we have Donald Trump personally requesting reboots from Paramount. Yeah, I mean, this is crazy. The producer of the Rush Hour franchise, Arthur Sarkisian, also ran a production company that created the film The Man You Don't Know, which was a portrait of Donald Trump that premiered last year. And also, maybe disappointing to hear, and I'm sorry, folks, if this is troubling for you, but Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker are also kind of not necessarily on Trump's bad side either. After the 2016 election, Jackie Chan said, give him a chance to make America, to change America and change the world. He's a businessman. He knows how to handle these things. And Tucker recently said, I want him to be successful. I want him to do the right thing. So they haven't necessarily said anything to really upset Donald Trump. And Brett Ratner and the other producer have clearly done a lot of work to really impress Donald Trump. And Donald Trump was very key in making Skydance Paramount and the Ellison's deal very easy to go through. So here we are in a world where we're getting Rush Hour 4 to combat the woke mind virus, I guess. I don't know, but folks, here's a friendly reminder that Brett Ratner, the director of this movie, has sexually harassed Olivia Munn, Natasha Henstridge, Elliot Page, with Anna Paquin being a witness, and more, including having an actual formal accusation of rape. Also, Brett Ratner lives in Israel, is personally acquainted with Benjamin Netanyahu, the international war criminal, and Brett Ratner is named in the Epstein emails. He is part of the Epstein files. So I know you probably want to see a funny buddy action comedy with Jackie Chan, but maybe just think about where your dollars go. Think about where your dollars go just a little bit. Oh, chat, if you hate it here, you're going to love our next story. Wicked for Good. How can we make more? Wicked for Good, Wicked Forever. Universal Pictures is exploring the possibility of doing more sequels set in the world of Oz following the success of Wicked. Now, folks, I'm going to take this opportunity here to give you my mini review of Wicked for Good, the sequel to what I think is an incredible and one of the best modern musical films, Wicked, the first Wicked movie. Absolutely phenomenal film. I rewatched it on Thanksgiving Eve and enjoyed it so much. It was such a great time, greatly intentional, beautiful movie. Wicked for Good? Not that good. Not that good. I think that the strength of the second act of Wicked is really helped by the incredible momentum of the first act, and even watching the movies relatively back to back, it does not help. That movie is inflated, it is dragged out, the performances feel significantly more tired than the first one. The new songs are abysmal, and I think it is a crime that they have been nominated for Best Original Song at the Golden Globe. Cynthia Erivo's performance was not nearly as compelling as the first one. Shout out to Ariana Grande. I do think she actually does a pretty stellar job in this movie, probably about on par with her performance in the first. But I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't recommend it. There's so many choices that were made in that film that just really did not help it, and it felt tired, and the vision was not there. And tiniest little spoiler, how are you gonna have As Long As You're Mine the way that they did? That song is one of the top I don't want to get into spoilers. It is such a good moment in that stage production, and such a good song, and you can feel the heat and the passion and the energy. And there's a line where they say the name of the show, and it's so good in the show, and you feel it, and you go, ha ha ha, I get it. And they just killed it. They just killed it in this movie. But it looks like we're going back into the world of Oz. And what really rubs me the wrong way, it's not even that I dislike the second movie. It's not even that I dislike the idea of more films set in the world of Oz. It's that this quote came from Michael Moses, who's the studio's chief marketing officer. It's the fact that it's not a filmmaker, it's not a writer, it's not even Ariana and Cynthia Erivo who are we love these characters so much, we just are dying to explore them more. It's the fact that it's the marketing manager of Universal Studios who goes, things are underway to continue the Wicked franchise. Wicked success, but also the fanship. We have almost a responsibility to figure out how we can continue in this universe. Have we figured it out yet? No, but there are things underway. This is what we mean about the wrong people having the power to greenlight movies. Why are we having marketing executives make decisions about what stories need to be told on the big screen? Steven Schwartz, the original writer and composer, along with the original book writer Winnie Halsman, have also expressed interest in exploring more. They claim there's another idea that Winnie and I are discussing, not a sequel, but an adjunct. Let me put it that way. The movie Wicked and the stage production Wicked are also based on Wicked, The Life and Times of the Wicked Witch of the West, which does have subsequent sequels. So there is source material from the Wicked books that they could reference if they really wanted to do more. But if they're going to make it a musical, and if those new songs are anything to tell as far as where the direction will go, frankly, I am not excited. But what do you think? Did you like Wicked for good? If you saw it, would you be curious to see more? What would you want to see? What does an adjunct movie mean to you? I don't think we need a Wizard of Oz retelling. I don't know. I just don't know. Like, what else exists in the world of Oz outside of the people who are directly tied to, you know, the story of the Wizard of Oz, right? Like, you've already told the Oz Great and Powerful, like that prequel story. I don't know what else. What, did you do a movie about Dorothy in Kansas? I don't know. Oh. If it's a movie where, like, the world of Oz starts bleeding into the normal world. I just made myself sad thinking about that, because that's probably what it's going to be. All right, moving on. Sometimes it's not the executives making the decisions, or at the very least, the filmmakers do seem to at least find a story in there driven by the executives. So as we know, there is a Toy Story 5 coming out, and the filmmakers behind this movie recently talked about sort of the motivation. If you hadn't seen the initial teaser, I know we saw it last time we were live, the story is seemingly going to revolve around the toys trying to stay afloat against the world where tablets are being the biggest entertainment for children today. So the director, Andrew Stanton, did an interview, and he said, 3 was the end of the Andy years. Nobody's being robbed of their trilogy. They can have that and never watch another if they don't want to, but I've always loved how this world allows us to embrace time and change. There's no promise that it stays in amber. This movie is not even really a battle so much as the realization of an existential problem that nobody is really playing with toys anymore. We can't just get away with making tech the villain. So, credit where credit is due, Andrew Stanton. I think that's fair. That's an argument I make all the time regarding, whether you want to watch all the Marvel movies and all the Marvel TV shows, whether you want to watch Star Wars original trilogy or the sequel trilogy or whatever it may be. Your headcanon can be your headcanon, and if it hurts you so deeply to engage with the fact that a franchise or a property that you've been a fan of has moved on past you, that is fair. That is fair. I'm like cautiously optimistic. I see the sentiment in chat that this could be unexpectedly great. I feel like I have heard a lot that there's been elements from an abandoned Toy Story 3 plot and an abandoned Toy Story 4 plot that have maybe made their way here into Toy Story 5. And I actually really like this premise. I mean, I just, 10 minutes ago was going on a rant about how the childhood experience of my day and the childhood experience of this day have dramatically changed. So I do think that there's something interesting to say with this movie, but it's the fact that Woody's here, It's the fact that, yes, I understand that we've moved on from the Andy trilogy, but you made a very decisive call at the end of Toy Story 4 to have Woody leave Bonnie. Why is he back? How is he back? Is he really back? I don't know, man. I don't know, but I don't like it. I don't like it. But I will be watching. I don't think I'd like 4, but I loved it, so I'm open. You know what? I enjoyed Toy Story 4, and mostly I was just in absolute awe of the animation. Like, it is a gorgeous, gorgeous movie. From a technical perspective, the lighting in that movie. Oh my god, the like skin of Bo Peep, like her refracting and reflecting light from her porcelain, is a gorgeous movie. I enjoyed it. I had a good time with it. Sporky was cute. But again, like, I think I had been unintentionally overhyped on Toy Story 4 because I remember there was an interview that came out that was like, once you see the ending of Toy Story 4, you will understand why it had to be made. And I was like, okay. And then I watched it and I was like, I don't know about that. But cautiously optimistic for sure. Well, we may be getting more Toy Story sequels, but a sequel that we are all very patiently waiting for, Alita 2, Alita Battle Angel. We deserve a part 2, and let this be my 2-second soapbox that if you love sci-fi, and if you love action, and if you want to get into some weird, Alita Battle Angel is a solid watch that you would not be missing out on if you checked out. And James Cameron confirmed that he and Robert Rodriguez have a blood oath to make this movie. So there's not an official announcement. It's not officially in the works. However, James Cameron told Empire, Robert and I have sworn a blood oath to do at least one more Alita movie. In fact, we're thinking of an architecture that bridges to a third film, but we'll be satisfied if we can make one more, and we're making progress on that. So, he says in this interview that following his work on Avatar, he's actually going back home. He recently bought a house not too far from Robert Rodriguez, so hopefully they'll be collaborating on this. I thought this movie was so fun. I think it was great. And Big Jimmy don't miss. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I think the technology has gone a really far way too, where like, not to say that this movie didn't look good, but I think it could look even better. And like, yeah, it's probably going to be stupidly expensive. And yeah, it wasn't as financially successful as it probably could or should have been, but come on. Come on! It was fun! It was fun! Make it an animated movie if you're worried about the budget, right? Like, it's just, give us a little bit more. I'm so sad and so tired of having these incredible sci-fi stories that just get, like, cut short by, you know, just not necessarily succeeding the way that they could have. I'm still waiting for a sequel of John Carter of Mars. John Carter fans, stand up. Hopefully we get an Alita 2 before we get a John Carter 2. Moving on here, folks, if you haven't heard, there's this little show on Netflix called Stranger Things. Maybe you've heard about it. It's only been on air for the past 10 years, although not really, because it's only had 5 seasons in 10 years. Stranger Things Season 5, or Stranger Things 5 as they call it, is currently coming out. The first half came out over Thanksgiving. Volume 2 comes out on Christmas Day, with the finale premiering on New Year's Eve. Who came up with this release schedule? I don't know, but I'm not their friend. Netflix is going to be running the finale, the 2-hour finale, in theaters at AMC Theaters as part of their partnership that they announced alongside their K-pop Demon Hunters release. That being said, a very interesting component of this is the fact that tickets are not sold for the Stranger Things screening. However, exhibitors will sell concession vouchers that guarantee fans a seat at the screening. This means that theater owners will be keeping all of the revenue because they're not having to split profits with a ticket. They are just basically guaranteeing that you're going to show up and get, what, like $17 to $20 worth of snacks, and then you get to enjoy the Stranger Things finale. I think this is a really fascinating way of doing things. It's not lost on me, and maybe I'm a Netflix skeptic. Can't imagine why these days. It's not lost on me, but that the fact that they're doing this and it's technically not releasing and technically doesn't have a box office it means that this technically didn't come out in theaters, and actors and filmmakers and everyone involved aren't technically owed royalties. Is this the reason they're doing this? I don't know, but when we're having these big conversations about Netflix being heavily involved with theaters and the theatrical experience and how the theatrical release impacts filmmakers, it's very interesting to see this. On one hand, it's pretty neat, and if this was releasing on small screens and small local theaters and, small mom and pop movie theaters, that would be one thing, but knowing that the partnership is with AMC, which is one of the largest theater chains in the country, I don't know, man. I don't know. I will take this opportunity, though, to say that I don't know, is this an unpopular opinion? I like season 5 of Stranger Things. I am enjoying it so far. And I did my homework. Over the past month and a half, rewatched the entirety of Stranger Things. Episode 1 all the way to the end of season 4. And I stood by what I originally thought. Season 1 is great. Probably the best the show is. Season 2 is okay. Season 3, banger. Season 3 is so good. And season 4, everything that happens in Hawkins is really good. I don't like the other story arcs. I don't like the Russia story arc. I don't like the road trip story arc. But season 5 really levels up, and it feels like the next best version of the show. And all the characters have developed in a big way. And I love the world. And I love, episode 1 of season 5 is one of my favorite, season openers that I've seen in, a late stage show, period. If any show came back from a big hiatus with the same momentum and energy that season 5 of Stranger Things did, they would be so honored. It was such a good episode 1. And so I'm enjoying it. And I don't care if you don't like it, because I'm having fun with it. Man. We have our first teaser poster for Nicolas Cage's Spider-Noir coming to Prime Video. This is the only remaining artifact from a massive push that Sony Pictures and Sony was doing to try and get a television presence for Spider-Man. They had originally pitched a Cindy Moon Silk TV show, which didn't make it. They explored the possibility of spinning off some of the other Spider-Man properties, which just didn't quite land. But ultimately, Spider-Noir somehow made it through, and that show was filmed, and it is coming out, and Nicolas Cage is reprising his role from the Spider-Verse movie. This show series will be premiering both in black and white and in color. The show was created with the intention of being in black and white, but the filmmakers have guaranteed that the color rendition was not just an afterthought. They did put some intentionality and stylization into the color release of the show. This is just fun. I'm happy this exists. I'm hoping this is at least semi-decent, but let's be honest, folks, Sony does not always, they don't have a great batting average with Spider-Man movies. So we'll see how they do with a Spider TV show. And if this does well, could we see more? Maybe Sony learns a lesson to let Marvel Studios give them a hand in terms of the live action theatrical world. They're doing great with animation. They could continue to run those movies in the theater, and maybe they stick to the small screen and let us enjoy Spider-Man stories in there. But I'm really looking forward to this series, and I just think it's crazy we live in a world where this exists, and I'm happy that that's the world I live in. Well, folks, let's send it off with some really, really awesome news. Lucasfilm has announced officially that Star Wars will be returning for its 50th anniversary as the original rendition of the film. That's right. On February 19th, 2027, clear your schedule, cancel your plans, and go to the movie theater, because for the 50th anniversary of Star Wars, the original 1977 version of Star Wars will be playing in theaters. Not Star Wars A New Hope, Star Wars, the original. No Human Jabba. Human Jabba was a deleted scene. He wasn't even in that one. Now, what Chad is referencing here, and in case you didn't know, Star Wars has been remastered many, many times over. Most famously, folks know about what happened with, the Blu-ray and the streaming remasters, where a lot of digital effects were added on top. A really awkward Jabba the Hutt interaction. The digital alteration to make Greedo shoot first instead of Han shooting first. Some other updates like adding in some more slapsticky CGI background characters and updating the the effects on some of the starship sequences. But the original 1977 version of Star Wars has actually not been released ever, really, outside of its initial theatrical run. Very quickly after Star Wars came out in theaters, it was renamed Star Wars A New Hope so that they could pivot it to being, the springboard for the entire franchise. So many people have not seen the original version of Star Wars. Even myself, I grew up watching the 1999 VHS re-releases, which still had some visual effects cleanups. It is closer to the original than the one that you see on Disney Plus now. There was a very famous project some years ago about the despecialized editions of Star Wars. If you hadn't checked out those, I highly recommend. There's a mini documentary on YouTube you can find that talks about how it was a crowdsourced project to try and create a despecialized edition of the original Star Wars by finding original matte paintings and film stills and laser discs and all these different things in order to, cut together and recreate a fan edit of Star Wars that is as close to the original version. But we will now officially have the opportunity to see it for the first time in 50 years, Star Wars unaltered, the way that George Lucas maybe didn't mean for it to be seen, but the way that George Lucas had it be seen. So I will be very excited for that, and I hope to see you in the theaters in 2 years. But folks, with that story, that's going to be the end of this very, very stacked, very, very packed Movie News Monday. If you're watching live, hey, thank you so much for sticking around. We talked about a lot of things today. And hey, if you're watching on YouTube, come check us out live. It's called Movie News Monday. We're live every single Monday at 8:30, except for when there's a holiday. We talk about so much more than just Movie News Monday, so make sure you stop by if you can. If you can't, don't worry about it. Subscribe on the YouTube channel, hit a like, leave a comment. What do you want me to talk about next time? I read all the comments, every single one. Yes, Jacob, I read your comment. Not nice. In either case, if you want to see our content in short form, or if you want to know when I'm going live, check us out on all the socials. I have been your host, Jupy Gorg. Thank you for coming to Movie News Monday, and I will see you at the movies.